We're going to start over. All right, here we are. So, second introduction, episode 6 of the Neuro Bros Show, happening now. Sound effects maestro and partner in crime, Mr. Russ Parker. Hey, what's up, Russ?
Oh, doing good here. Nice, had nice weather the last couple of days too. We hit 50 degrees yesterday.
It sounds so good, man. I'm ready for it. You know, by this time every winter I'm ready for warmth. And it'll be good. So as we get started here, I have a couple things I'd like to speak on. It won't take too long, and then we'll turn it over to Russ. But what's going on, Russ? How are you feeling these days? You're looking good.
Feeling pretty good, except I have hip arthritis. I had a replacement done in 2017 on my right hip, and it looks like the left hip is going to have to go. I did a pretty good job over the last year keeping the pain down with exercise and everything, but I guess the cartilage is just deteriorating a little more to the point where I can't do all the things I want to do. So I have to go for the op soon, but once that happens, it's great, pain-free.
Yeah. And I just realized I didn't share this with the world. I shared it with only me. So now we should be public to the world. Hello, world. If you missed the first couple of minutes, you can go back and check it out. And so looks like now, yeah, we're broadcasting to, I think, the entire world. Let's just make sure, because sometimes, I make mistakes and all that. Although for some reason it doesn't look like it's to the entire world. So if there's anyone out there who can see us, tell us, please, if you can see us, because right now you should be able to. All right. Well, for those who are watching, just like always today, we hope that you will ask questions. We'd love to get some ideas on what people want to be learning about too. You know, we're sharing things that are oftentimes affect many people, or maybe everyone to some degree, but some people have specific issues, especially if they're, living with Parkinson's disease or have a movement disorder. I'm just going to send a note to someone here and see if he can see us. Okay. See us. Okay. Because I did a bad thing and I forgot to share with the world, and I think it kicked in and it should be. So I'll find out in just a second.
Pop up on my phone. Oh no, that was a comment. Okay.
Oh, we have somebody on. Do we?
Laura's on.
Hey, oh, Laura. Good. Okay, so if she can see us, then we can be seen. All right.
That's well, I saw a comment came from her. I'm assuming it's from the. It's from you.
Okay, and then I'm. 1 second.
I'm not connected to the Facebook right now.
Okay. Laura, you can see us, so this is good. All right, this means we are broadcasting to the world. Yeah, I'm still. We're just going to banter back and forth a little bit before I start into something that I'd like to share with some people. It may affect a lot of people. I don't know, but we'll find out. Okay, good. Yeah. So okay, we can be seen. Excellent. Thank you very much, Jane. So what I wanted to just say is I hope people are doing well with the the COVID situation. It's really caused a lot of depression out there. There are a lot of people who are, well, I mean, very sadly, suicide rates are up, and that's just so sad. It's so sad. And lack of socialization, although now we're starting to see that there's more that's being allowed, let's say, in these independent living and assisted living facilities, where I work in a couple of them, independent contract, but I go in and work with people in one, go in and work with people in another. And now, as of about 2 weeks ago, they're finally able to go out of their room and go to the social hour, or the story reading hour, or the bingo, or Wii bowling, or chair workouts. And you know what? I've seen the general mood of the facilities lift, because now people can come face to face and actually see each other and socialize. So if you're feeling kind of down and lonely and all that, I can relate. I certainly am not lonely, although I did wake up feeling pretty down today. Uh, I think the COVID situation has really had a lot to do with that, with me, with the post COVID symptoms. And what I meant to say in the original thing, coming back around to it, is I forgot to share with the world when I sunk up with Facebook because of COVID brain. I'm going to blame it on that, you know? So, what have you been seeing down in your neck of the woods, Russ? As far as, have you seen any like clients face to face or Zoom stuff, and what's the general mood like?
I'm doing online, a few online sessions. I'm not seeing face-to-face people much. There was one client I had who went into lockdown, and he has a really good in-home aid that picked up
Hmm.
a lot of. He used to hang out when we did sessions together. So I believe he's still continuing to do a lot of the stuff I did with him.
That's
But
good.
I'm not doing any in person. But I'm coaching a couple of people online, and yeah, I sense from some people that they're really getting stir crazy, especially with Parkinson's. The disease itself, affects your mood sometimes. I'm fine. I keep busy, so whether it's busy, at home, online, or whatever. I do miss getting out with my friends, seeing people, going out to dinner, and I haven't gone out for a meal in a while. But I don't have a problem with that. I think restaurants aren't quite as bad as like mingling at a bar, because at least you're just sitting in one spot. They clean the table off, between
Yep.
people and stuff. I don't think
Hmm.
restaurants too bad. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it's affecting people. I'm looking forward to getting out, socializing more.
I don't know. I haven't looked up data. All I can do is surmise that perhaps in the northern areas where it's cooler and there's snow and it's less conducive to outdoor gatherings, I don't know, depression rate is higher. I know it statistically always has been. Basically, north of Atlanta is where depression, the further north you go, it increases because the season of winter is cooler north of there. And, what do they call it? SAD, sunlight something deficiency. And so, it can affect people, but with a pandemic, it certainly can affect people more. I wrote some notes down today. Promise it won't take long. Every time I say that, I go longer than I want. It won't take long today. I got this down. Yeah. So, Laura, let's talk about that. Hmm. I typically wake up feeling medium in my mood. And not to make this about me, but because I can relate to what it's like to wake up feeling just not necessarily hopeless. I did feel that in the past, but just like today, I just sad. I don't know why, but you know what? I feel better already for three reasons. I used, I know this is ridiculous. I use the skin brush. I've been using this every morning. This wakes me up. It has to create some kind of chemical change in the brain. It just has to. I took a shower. Well, bingo. After that, after the brush, I take a shower. Just getting up and cleaning up puts me in a little bit better frame of mind. I think one of the worst things we can do is to just sit and ponder. Why do we feel this way? Why do we feel down? And I try not to go into that and allow that to happen, but it does happen. It happened today for like 25 minutes. I'm just sitting on the couch, I'm looking at my phone and scrolling through the TV and trying not to look at news. I found a Mission Impossible movie that I love, number two. I love all those movies. Kind of distracting myself. But I know, I know that if I get up and do something, I will immediately start to feel better than if I don't get up and do something. Physical movement goes back to somewhat of this, even though this is a lot about BDNF. Movement, I'll talk about that book in a minute, causes stuff to happen in our brain these neurochemicals, these neuromodulators that are created, their hormones, their chemicals, their proteins, and they cause, that's like a human pharmacy right up here. That's what Deepak Chopra, Dr. Deepak Chopra says. Most of us have everything we need in our brain if we learn how to access it, chemical wise, hormone wise, to make us feel better. And so, I got up and I did the garbage, and I cooked an omelet. I'm on a keto thing right now, and I'm dropping weight. I've gained like 20 pounds this winter. It's horrible, but I'm going to get rid of it. I'm determined. And actually, being heavier makes me feel self-conscious a little bit, not terrible, but a little. And I don't feel as good physically when I'm heavier, So I'm going to beat that. But just standing and cooking, and the smell of the onions and the garlic that I put in the omelet, and they probably have some carbs in them, but that's probably my carbs for the day, right? I don't advocate low carbs all the time, but we can talk about keto if anyone wants, and some of the advantages for humans in general, plus Parkinson's too. For a short term though, not a permanent diet. But just moving, doing the garbage, doing this, doing that, just moving helps. Now, I knew we were going to do this here today at 10, and I was looking forward to it, although I didn't know what I was going to talk about till about an hour before. But even just being here and seeing you, Russ, this is helpful. I feel better now. By the time we're done, I'm going to feel really good. So I appreciate, and Laura, your comment. You just need to be socializing more. Yeah.
Doing stuff that's different is good, and also accomplishing something, like just like cleaning up a messy area or something, cleaning up your workbench, I got to clean up my, I always make a mess of this table I have here, which is kind of like my office, like the dining room table, is papers and all sorts of junk piled up. I feel better when I clean it up, whenever that's going to happen.
Laura brings up a really valid point here, and that is, and she's the best in so many ways. Work on your emotions, smile. It sounds ridiculous, but I'll tell you, it's hard to feel depressed when you're smiling.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
So Laura, that's you've said this before, and you say it often, and it's so kind of strange how I forget things, but I need to be reminded of that. Smile. It's good for the brain and good for your emotions. It's all connected. Yeah.
I set up little signs around the house. Here's one that I have hanging up. Is this?
Oh man, yeah, I see that. Keep
Yeah,
fighting.
I see this
keep
as
smiling.
I come down the stairs.
Keep fighting. Keep smiling.
To set a daily goal, it could be just any one little thing that it could be something that takes 5 seconds, but just the feeling of accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
And like Laura said, smiling.
Yeah,
I have other things that say other things too that I put up sometimes. So.
The two of you are just inspiring to me. Yeah, you're both so inspiring to me. And here I am thinking, I'm saying all this stuff because I need to get it out, because I also need to let you know, I feel guilty about feeling this way. Should I feel guilty? Probably not, but I'm not going to dwell on it, because I have a good life. I have a nice place to live. I live in a very nice area. I have a family that's great. I'm healthy, despite COVID brain, whatever, it's fine. I'm healthy. I have great circle of friends. I have many friends. I'm a social type of person. I like to be in touch with people. So, I actually feel like I have no reason to feel sad, but I think sometimes our brains just do stuff, like our chemicals are imbalanced and whatever. Just so I think for me personally, and what Dr. John Rady talks about, Harvard professor. If you go to my YouTube channel, you can look at the Extraordinary Experts podcast. There's like 156 interviews now, I think, and he's one of them. Just move, just get moving, walk, run in place, do something, just get moving, and it's going to change the brain. You're going to feel better. So it's natural to feel down, especially when there's not a lot of sunlight, like around here lately or ever, although last year was beautiful. But you got to fight it. The worst thing to do is sit and dwell upon it And maybe the best thing to do is reach out to someone and say hello, because they might need it too. Welcome, Kathy Lowry. How are you? Good to see you here. Um, don't sit. Don't go sedentary on yourself, because that ain't good. That's very bad. Very bad. So Russ, I have another thing I want to talk about, but I'd really love it more if you talk about some of your stuff. My next thing I want to talk about has to do with exercise. When's the best time to exercise? I have the answers, and it's kind of fun, but I'd like
Okay,
to
cool.
save it for after a little while. What you got?
I have actually one thing I wanted to mention was on a similar topic, but
Yeah.
cool.
What you got over there, Russ?
Well, one thing I've been thinking about a lot lately is, I've been, I'm very active in a lot of different groups on Parkinson's related groups and Facebook, and I see what people are going through, all different problems on all different levels. So I've been thinking a lot about adapting exercise. You hear a lot about people who kind of lost their mojo on certain things that they used to do and they can't do anymore. I mean, the first thing I'd say on that is there's sometimes a misconception, like when you have Parkinson's, you're in a state of deterioration and you have all these different things you could do, whether it's just tasks of daily living, like walking and getting up and down from a chair or whatever, or if it's it could be like a hobby thing or a sport. No matter what it is, some people feel like, if they go through this stage where they deteriorate on certain things, that, there's this saying, focus on what you could do, not what you can't do. That's true to a certain degree, but I don't want people to think that just because they've lost a skill, they can't get it back. So sometimes what people say is, oh, you can't do that anymore. Do something different, pick a new hobby.
Mhm.
That, my suggestion would be, to try, if you can't figure it out yourself, try to find someone who could teach you how to adapt and progress back into doing that thing. If you really want to do it, don't give up. Don't give up on it quite yet. So I've been thinking about a lot of those type of things, and when I see people talking about that, about things of that nature, losing certain skills or whatever, I've been more active in trying to give out ideas on how to progress back to acquiring a skill. And just so happens, one recently that was on Facebook was one that I worked on myself. I try to keep a little list, whether it's in my head or down on, formally written, down on a document or whatever, a little list of things that I've kind of tailed off my skill level on, or I can't do anymore. And jumping jacks was one of them this was like a few years ago. So I had to figure out a progression, how to get them back. So the other day, somebody brought that up. So one person chimed in with a good idea, and then I added to it or whatever. But I've been thinking about that a lot lately. But I just wanted to make that point also, that you could restore function. And to your point, just about talking about just getting moving, that's another topic I've been thinking about. Is some people have heard me present on this before, this topic of exercise snacking, how to fit in
Mhm.
short bouts of exercise during the day at home, when you're on the go, using little or no equipment, using stuff around the house, and incorporating into your daily life. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. And one thing I want to do as a goal, as an educator and a trainer and a coach, is to really try to get through to those people who are the non-exercisers, the people who just haven't gotten started, or the beginners. They don't know where to go. They don't know what to do. I want to try to really make this really simple. So what I'm going to do is take the exercise snacking thing, and I've presented on it before and given out like workouts and real like exercises. But I want to start with the basics of real things that you just do in life. Instead of teaching somebody how to do a squat or some body weight exercise, everything in the start, put together a plan to get people moving. But everything in the start is just going to be getting up and down from a chair, things of, daily life. So I'm going to be testing this out myself too, just to see how it feels. So step one, what I'm doing is every time I sit down in a chair or get up from a chair, every time I sit down in a chair, I have to stand up and sit down a second time. So then I'm sitting for a while. Then when I get up, before I walk away from the chair, I have to get down and get up again. So I kept track of this so far today, and I've already done like 10 additional up and downs, getting up and down from a chair. And that's like it's an easy way to add movement into your day, because it's at a certain time, whenever you sit up, or whenever you get down to a seat or come up from a seat, and the instructions are easy. I don't have to teach anybody anything. If you can't get up on, try to do it with no hands. If you can't get up, no hands, use your hands, do whatever you want. But it's a way to add more activity into your day. By the time the day's over, you might have gotten up and down from a seated position like 20 times. That's a lot of movement you just put back into your day.
And that is it goes pretty deep. Not that it has to, but it can. Because, for example, going way back to the beginning, you were saying how some people, maybe they think they want to exercise, but they don't know what to do. That's actually a problem for a lot of people. I don't know what to do. So it's oh, I just have a note here. Focus on. Okay, yeah. Okay, good one, Laura. I'll bring that up in just a moment. So knowing what to do, I think there's, for some people anyways, there's a lot around that, a lot of mystique, and like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And it ain't rocket science, folks, although you may not know that, but doing anything like what Russ just said, even though it might seem super simple and not enough, let's say, it's more than not doing anything. And there's a sense of accomplishment that goes with it. As simple as it is, that sense of accomplishment, how you feel from that, can actually lead to so much more. It can open up doorways to doing more. And so, hey, starting with that is beautiful. It's perfect. You don't need a gym. You don't need a coach. You
Even for
don't need
somebody
a
who's
trainer.
exercising already, you could even do something like that and feel a little challenged. Like when I'm doing it, I try to sit down real slow and really feel my core and my glutes stopping me from plopping down. That's something that's not that easy, even for somebody who's relatively fit, if you do it slow and deliberate enough, and it raises some body awareness. So
Absolutely.
getting up and down from the ground is, as we know, is a great exercise. And there's that whole matrix where you could get up and down from the ground in different ways. Using both arms to help you up, putting one arm on your shoulder and only using one hand to get up. And
that's a great one.
That's a great exercise too. So I'm going to try to
the fall matrix,
get through to people, with things like that, and see how that works. Sitting down on the floor watching TV, that's an exercise.
It can be, right? Because you can do things while you're on the floor. I have a lady I work with who cannot do a push-up on the floor, but now she can do it on a countertop because she started doing it on a wall. So she does countertop push-ups now, right? The countertops.
I love countertop exercises. There's other things, a lot of things you could do, and wall exercises too. You could do, push-aways and stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's really good. So, your hands are against the wall, your feet are back however far, and then you're pushing out from the wall. That's your wall push-up, right? Or push out. And then you gain enough strength, you can lower it. So now there's more body weight when you're on the countertop, right? You're coming down, there's more body weight. So now she's going to get strong enough to go a little lower, like maybe use the edge of the couch, because that'll be about 2 feet off the ground.
Yeah. You know what you can use too? You can use a stairway.
Totally. Yeah, that's a great way. Yeah.
You got different, you have measurable grades of
that's true.
Height there, right, built in. Just keep going down.
These are small things. They're little things. They're simple things, but actually, when it comes around to it, th- th- these simple achievements can, like I said, make you feel good, make you stronger, make you feel better emotionally, give you that sense of accomplishment, and you can see it can happen fast too. You might go from wall push-ups to or one step up, one top, whatever your starting step is, down one in a matter of a week or something. I mean, people get stronger relatively quickly, especially in the beginning. um by the way, Laura brought up something here I think is really good, that maybe we could also talk about focusing on people who were recently diagnosed with Parkinson's and what we would recommend that they do. Russ, you're there, man. You've been diagnosed, and your story is really inspiring on how you dealt with it. Um, I'm going to turn this over to you because you're living with it.
Well, the first thing I would do is, there's a saying, accept the diagnosis, but not the prognosis.
Hmm.
So
That's a good one.
understand that what you're going to hear, um, there's still some old school thinking. There's these stages of Parkinson's they talk about. And while it's good to be aware of what they are, they, they tell you to expect, sometimes you're told to expect certain things like within 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and so forth. Um, it's good to know about that, but I pay no attention to it. I just want to do the best I could do. And also to know that there are things that you could do besides, the medication. Um, and I would say as soon as you're diagnosed, whatever not, you want to get exercising. If you have some problems, you want to try to get help to counteract the movement problems, you know, especially if they don't go away with, the medication. But if you do happen to be lucky and you get on the Cinnamon for a while and you're moving great, the other recommendation I would say is, don't be led into that false sense of security that the, Cinnamon is helping you, but at some point it may not help you as well. So what I would recommend doing is, taking certain important movements, and even if you do them well, do them and do them every day, like walking. That would be the number one. If
Mhm.
you're walking well or not walking well, walking, everybody I think should be working on right from the start, getting their walking good, whether they see a physical therapist, a trainer, or if they're walking good already, just do lots of it and try to keep that skill intact. So
Yeah.
whatever skills you still have, make sure you keep moving. I think you hit this period, and I went through it too, where you get misdiagnosed for other problems. It drags out, and you start to get discouraged. I happen to have a lot of back pain, which the rigidity, Parkinson's rigidity, was probably adding to, and hip pain. I had a real hip problem. Eventually, I got a hip operation, but I had shut down my running, um, because of the problems I was having. And if I knew how good, and I was doing no cardio after that, if I knew how good cardio was for Parkinson's, that probably could have helped me feel a little better from the start. So it would have been nice if I got diagnosed early.
Hmm.
But try to keep try to keep moving right from the start. And then the other thing I would recommend is do lots of research. The first day I was diagnosed, I didn't know a lot. I didn't know one single thing. That I've learned, from Karl and everybody else. I didn't know any of these things. And when Dad got diagnosed, first thing I did was I Googled how to fight Parkinson's naturally. Because I knew medication was one thing, but I said to myself, what else? I want to do everything possible. So I think researching is another important thing. Just be relentless in learning. Look, if you don't know the places to find resources and learning resources or programs, ask around, join groups, join support groups, and eventually you'll find this out. So that's another thing, get involved with groups and other people with Parkinson's, and you'll
Yeah,
find out more the more people you connect with.
that's real important. I mean, for most of us, some people aren't social, but if you're social, I was talking with we did a little birthday call yesterday, Laura and Felipe, and I tried to round up some more people at the last minute because I just had forgotten again, but whatever. For Sylvia Gabriela in Monterrey, Mexico. And so in this little Zoom birthday call for like 10 minutes,
Nice.
Sylvia lives with Parkinson's and a lot of dyskinesia. But the foundation I has been helping her with in certain ways. Laura's been very helpful to her. But one of the things that was very helpful to her and Felipe, who also lives with Parkinson's, and I've gotten to know these people and kind of like family because I've been to Monterrey so many times. But Parkinson Monterrey, as I wrote about in my book, is my favorite Parkinson's association in the world of all that I've seen. And it's because of their commitment to helping each other. They were getting together from like 10, 11 a.m. till 3, 4 p.m. every Tuesday and Thursday for many, many, many years. And starting in about 2 weeks, it'll be 1 year since they've all seen each other because of the pandemic. So, this has really had, for some, a devastating effect because that was a lifeline. So, of course, we have Zoom, and that's good, but not everyone has access to the internet. Not everyone everywhere has a smartphone or internet connection that's solid, and they don't have it, and it's so that's an area where I hope that things come back sooner than later, where people are able to meet like that because it's so important. The other thing too I wanted to say is, speaking of early or diagnosis, so I'm going to go into this shameful self-promotion, and that is I did write a book, and it's designed to address from early diagnosis through just the whole duration of living with Parkinson's to the best of my ability. And it's really all about disease management strategies and techniques, none of which I made up myself. None. Zero. The only thing I made up myself is to take me through your day assessment. Russ, you wake up in the morning, you open your eyes, what's your first problem? Well, for some people, it's rolling over. Imagine that. Something we take for granted, probably, maybe, that you can't do. What a terrible way to start your day. So it goes, and fortunately, we have, because I couldn't have written this book on my own, even though I wrote probably 80% of it or 70%, we have contributors like Russ Parker, a lot of people who he did two. He was in the experts category because he's an expert on movement and a personal trainer. Also, he's in these stories because he lives with Parkinson's. So we have very inspiring stories here. We have experts, doctors, neurologists, movement specialists here. And so if anyone's looking for this, it's available for a little bit less money, getting it through me. And if you get it through me, you also get a copy of course, I probably don't have my CD, which is dedicated to Parkinson's cause. Parkinson's Regeneration Training.com. There's a link. You can buy it there. We have them in stock. We'll send them out. It's also available in Spanish. Okay, it's a little bit bigger. There's an extra chapter in this one about nutrition that didn't make it into the first version, but the second book coming out soon has the chapter on nutrition in it from Cynthia Lopez in Monterrey. So, we learned a lot. That book has a lot of information to help people, and socializing, exercise snacking that Russ wrote about. That's in there with a lot of examples too. Great stuff, man. I love what you do, and you've gone so much further than what you wrote. There's so much more that you've done.
Some of it's a little crazy, but works.
But it's cool. Even little simple things, like washing your hair with your left hand instead of your right hand, or trying to do some kind of
you're
in the shower, you're washing one way and you're doing a counter motion, and could be eating with the left hand instead of the right. I mean, all of us can benefit from this kind of stuff. It doesn't have to be just a person with Parkinson's. So
Yeah.
I've been talking for a while, Russ. I do want to share about a 5-minute thing on when's the best time to exercise, but I'll do it whenever you want me to. Do you have anything you want to go over right now?
Well, the few things I had on my list was maybe just keep going. We're going from the bottom up, from the feet up in corrective exercise. And then I had a little, I talked about it already, really, the exercise snack thing with the chair. But I have a Gait hack. That this is actually one, Carl and I, we talk about how a lot of most of the things we learn from other people. This is actually something I made up myself.
Cool.
I call it the 3-step for Gait, and I could go over that too, but
You want
you
to
could do it
show
in
it?
any order.
Let's do
Um,
some of that now.
you want? I could show you this 3-step thing and the concept behind it. So
So I'm a little
we
self-indulgent with this because I'm going to make this speaker view so that whoever's talking, they see on the big screen. That's going to be you, because while you do that, I'm going to get more coffee.
Oh, okay.
Go for it. Okay.
All righty. So one thing we've talked a little bit about barefoot and the importance of sensing the ground, and how the bottom of the feet have so many nerve endings in them, and the problems you run into gait when you kind of lose that sensitivity, where you could really feel the contact with the ground. And there's something called ground reaction forces, so that's when your foot hits the ground and your nerves, sense the ground, and your toes dig in and push off when you're walking or running. And what happens with Parkinson's is when people who have walking problems, walking is normally, is something we learned when we were little, and it's become subconscious. So now it's not so subconscious because we have these defects in our gait, and a lot of people don't know what to do, and when they try to, they know what walking entails, but when they try to put it all together, it just becomes difficult because something, as I mentioned, is something that's subconscious. Now, walking though is a very complicated thing. You're moving. There's so many phases of of walking gait that you go through, and if you have to think consciously to make your brain do all those things, to walk, it's just not going to, at first, for a lot of people, it's just not going to happen in time to have a good walking gait. So then that's why you end up sometimes with a shuffle walk, because you've looked, some few things have happened. Your brain doesn't have enough dopamine, and also it just doesn't have it's not wired. Now that you've had the movement dysfunction, it's not wired properly to put all those things together automatically. It's not trained to do that. And then there's the other thing I mentioned about, the problem on the bottom of the feet, where your nervous system isn't quite as awake as it should be. So you put your feet down, and things just don't happen. And then the next thing to do is put the next foot forward. But you haven't even had time to push off on the back foot, because that's what really propels you forward. So when you're walking, one thing when people's a caregiver or something, or sees person with Parkinson's, shuffling, they'll say things like pick up your feet, or put one foot in front of the other. But the thing that makes your foot go, that foot go out really isn't the lead foot stepping out, but it's the rear foot pushing off. And you just, a lot of people just don't have time to do that. So this thing I made up kind of counteracts that and gives you time to practice pushing off that back foot and get a bigger stride. And I call it a 3-step. So what you do is, instead of every one step concentrating on pushing off, you're giving your brain enough time. You're going to push off every 3rd step. So you're going to do 1, 2, 3, and then push. 1, 2, 3, push. I'm going to demonstrate it. And so what this is doing is it's training that proper push off with the trailing leg to propel yourself forward. Okay. Adjust the screen here. My head's going to be cut off. My feet are more important anyway. So I was just explaining, Karl, how the brain doesn't have time. You know, when you have movement dysfunction, walking dysfunction, the brain doesn't have time to react. I'm talking about the push off that you get from the back leg to propel yourself forward. So it doesn't have time, because now walking is a conscious effort as opposed to subconscious, and now you've got to train yourself to do all these things. It doesn't have time to push. So this thing I made up is a 3-step where you walk 1, 2, 3, push, 1, 2, 3, push, and it gives you time to react and dig that foot in a little harder than if you had to, every 1 step, if you had to push. So this is how it goes. So maybe I'll demonstrate first side to side, because then you'll see. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, push. So 1, 2, 3, and then this foot's here, and then you're pushing. So see how it propels? As I had mentioned, that when people see somebody walking with a shuffle, they tell them, oh, reach your foot forward. That's not really how walking works. That's not what makes your foot go forward. What makes this foot go forward is this push of the back foot. So this 1, 2, 3 gives you time to get that push off in. So 1, 2, 3, and push. And you could exaggerate. You could kind of lift yourself in the air too, so your toes dig in even harder. So 1, 2, 3, push. I'm kind of lifting up in the air. 1, 2, 3, push. Let me see if I can get 2 of them in a row coming towards you. 1, 2, 3, push. 1, 2, 3, push. So that kind of helps develop that skill. So when you lose a skill, a movement type skill, there's several ways to get it back using progressions, and one way is to break down the movement into pieces. So this is sort of doing that. It's taking that, break it down into pieces, and maybe put a delay in. Instead of doing a bunch of movements fast together, you do one part of the movement and then you give yourself a chance to do the next part, or just work on it totally separately. I mean, another thing you could do is, if you want to work on push off, is do that totally independently. Just do 1 foot at a time, where you're going to go. It's not a real walking step. You're just going to push, kind of like a shuffle step, just to practice. Or you could push back and forth like this. Just practice, push, and then come back again, push. So there's all sorts of ways you could break down a movement. And on that 3-step, you could, I picked an even number. 4 wouldn't work, because what you want to do, you need an odd number, because every time you do the push, you want to do it on your left foot first, and then your right foot next. If you picked an even number, you'd be doing your pushing off with your right foot, or left foot every time. So that's a little something that I invented, and it's another thing I add to my Gait hacks when work with somebody, and I go through a whole sequence of things where we put down the targets, we do the vibration on the feet, and This is another little trick I use. It's all just to try and encourage those skills that are needed for good gait.
It can be fun too, right? You know, I'm going to admit to something. I have been a little bit lately skipping. Like,
Oh, skipping is great. Yeah,
I love to skip. I look
and it's
so
nice. No
ridiculous
impact into
doing it.
exercise. Yeah,
I only do it when people aren't watching right now, but I think pretty soon I'm not going to care anymore.
yeah.
Laura, are you still with
Well,
us?
yeah, the normal.
Mm-hmm. I have a question for Laura if she's here. Um, that maybe she could help me to translate something, or Jane, if you're here, Jane, because both speak Spanish fluently. Um, we have a question from Maria Angelica Moreno Montañez. ¿Cómo se puede conseguir en México, el libro? So, answer is sí. Maria Angelica, sí. It's available en español. You would want to escribe me, and Laura will send it out. So yeah, send me a direct message, escribe me, Facebook, okay, and we'll arrange for you to get it. And if anyone speaking Spanish can translate what I just said, I appreciate it. I could go into translator and look, but it'll take away. You know what you did there, Russ, is really cool because you made that up yourself. It works for you, and if it works for you, it's probably going to work for a lot of people. So that's one of the things I love about having this time to talk with you, and when we do workshops and things, we're always learning from people. Taking ideas and then expanding upon them.
There's so
So
many great ideas out there that we've picked up on from other fitness people, therapists, and people with Parkinson's.
yeah,
Cool
so
stuff.
I want to talk about something that's kind of interesting, real quick. Both of these, well, all of this is based on two two places that are doing research on it. Well, there's more than that, but the two places that I've been following very closely and on a daily basis. Uh, Muchas gracias, Jane y Laura. Thank you. And I can send a message. I'll send a direct message in Espanol to Maria. I just realized I could do that and then direct her. Thank you. So it has to do with when is the best time to exercise? Okay, we can get into some scientific stuff because I'm a nerd and a geek and I like to talk about that. But we're going to pretty much break it down into some data that shows. Remember, when I say what I'm going to say, everything I'm delivering is generally speaking, okay, because it's not everything fits everyone. The other thing I forgot to mention in the very beginning today is anything that we. So I say this not because I'm concerned that anyone's going to be upset with what we say and whatever. You guys, I say this because I want to make sure that people know, and it's the first couple pages in my book. This is information that's designed to complement physical therapy, medical care, neurological care, and medications, not to take the place of it, because we need medications, but we have things that we can do that will help to improve movement beyond what a medication can do. But without the medication, you probably won't move quite as better, especially with Parkinson's and dopamine replacement meds. You need those; they're highly effective. The data's out; it's true, it's real. They're highly effective for just about everybody, right? But we can actually get more out of the medications by learning about certain things that we can do to help assimilate the medication more quickly and have a longer on period and switching to on faster, probably, again, generally speaking. So, and we're not saying we have the answers for everything, and everybody's responsible for their own health and their own activities and being careful and be mindful of your risk of falling. If you don't know how much a risk of fall you are, there are tests you can administer. There's the ABC test. Is Google it. I think it's 16 questions. You just write down the answers, and it's going to give you a score, and then you'll know your risk of falling. It's also in my book. Parkinsonsregeneration.com is the place to get the English version in Espanol. Oh yeah, Maria. So I see you're sending me a message, and I will accept that message right now. Okay, so with that said, exercise. First of all, just exercising is important. All right. So no matter when you do it, just know that I'm going to state up front that whenever's good for you is the time you should do it. Okay. This is going to vary from person to person, Parkinson's or not. Remember that Parkinson's does not define a person. It isn't who they are. It's something they live with. They might have had a hip replacement, a hip operation, like Russ said. They might have a open heart surgery, might have had cancer, might have diabetes, might have plantar fasciitis, tight muscles, whatever. They're human, right? No diagnosis defines who we are. It's just something we live with. So with that said, there are certain characteristics that go along with certain diagnoses like Parkinson's that may change what I'm about to say. So at the end, I'll address Parkinson's specifically, but generally speaking, for people in general, if we were looking at exercising for performance, okay, maybe you're running, you're going to do a marathon, you're going to do a Spartan race, you're very athletic, very demanding. Afternoon is generally a better time to exercise, pretty much only from the standpoint of reducing the risk of injury. Okay, because your body, you've been up, you've been doing stuff for a while, and so you're less likely to be injured. But in terms of, let's say, raising body temperature or matching the body temperature to mental alertness, well, the morning is going to be better. I'm going to break that down. But before we do, we got to go back to body temperature. So there's a lot of discrepancy out there right now, and I'm only stating this one comes from Stanford. Okay, and they're coming out with some of the greatest information right now that I have ever come across in relation to the brain and the body and everything. Okay, so basically what it is to be a human. So my body temperature fluctuates. I'm almost always less than 98.6. I can tell you for sure, I've measured this many times. When I exercise, my body temperature increases, and it might get to 98.6. Seldom does it do that, but once in a while it does. I'm typically around 97, 97.1. That's my temperature. That's how I roll. So if somebody is to say to you that your new warm-up, this comes from, some people we know in the industry, Russ, I don't mean any disrespect, but there is research to counter some of the other research. And, everyone has nothing that any entity that I'm going to speak of preaches is going to hurt us. Corrective exercise is considered the new warm-up in certain circles. You know what? They're right. It's a great way to warm up, but is it going to warm up your body temperature? No, probably not. Not the same as doing that famous 5 minutes of running or walking fast on a treadmill, or just walking in 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30, whatever it is. There is some relevance to movement, getting the heart rate up, and temperature of the body increasing slightly. Now, it may not seem like a lot if you go from 97.5 to 98.5. But what if you go from 98.5 to 99.5? You have what's considered a fever. You feel that, right? I mean, my first day of COVID symptoms, I had a fever at 99.5. So for me, that's like 2 degrees above normal for me. I felt it. I felt really lousy. So even though your body temperature, and maybe your body temperature won't raise at all, but according to Harvard, according to Stanford, it probably will raise if you get moving. Okay, that's normal. Now, with that increase in body temperature comes this mental alertness. There's all these neurochemicals and neuromodulators like epinephrine and other things that are created and fired up and circulating in your brain as a result of exercising, especially if you're doing something that raises the heart rate. So body temperature probably goes up a little. It also matches to I may not articulate this in a way that is completely sensible, but it puts you at a state in the morning, especially if you're a morning, like if you're doing let's say you're going what's through probably considered a normal day. You're getting you get up in the morning and you sleep at night. Some people sleep during the day because, like my son doing night shifts a lot at the hospital. But let's say you're sleeping at night, you get up in the morning, go out like last week, like we said, or Monday, whenever it was, we talked about the retina receptors in the bottom of the retina, and how the exposure to daylight outside for a minute or two will set the timer for the cortisol release that'll help your body to function, plus the timer to tell your body you're going to be awake for, whatever, 14 to 17 hours. And of course, remember at night before sundown, trying to catch the last of actual natural daylight, because that starts the melatonin cycle that will help you to get to sleep. That comes from Stanford Huberman. All right. So if we look at exercise in the morning, if we do our sunlight thing and do our exercise stuff, well, as Harvard says, and this is a Harvard professor here, this is why in this book called Spark, they talk about the Naperville School District, which is just outside of Chicago in Illinois, in that when they required all the students, and they 25, 26, 27 years later after this research, that school district is still doing this. They start with physical education in the morning. And that school district still ranks among all the top in the United States for lowest obesity rate, highest college placements, highest GPAs average. And it's because when they get moving in the morning, it triggers this mental alertness, mental acuity. All right. It helps to just basically wake up your brain earlier, triggers the release of these neuromodulators and, like I said before, epinephrine and things like that. And it tends to lead to like higher levels of arousal, meaning just being alive, feeling, alive, and mental acuity. All right. And then this will last even till late in the morning or even early afternoon. So basically, if you're looking to heighten your overall awareness and arousal, and if you're looking to, let's see, heighten your mental alertness, if that's a word, to be more mentally alert, well, morning exercise is probably going to be the best thing, because this will just start you off in, actually, I'm stealing some of this phrase, the go pathway. Go. I don't like doing this, but sometimes it's appropriate. Go pathway to your brain saying, okay, go, now learn. And it'll last probably into early afternoon, right? Might even go longer, but you're going to have a good solid 3-hour window. Remember, it's generally speaking, everyone's different, but about a 3-hour window of maximum mental alertness for an improved and a better learning, more comprehensive, more complete learning experience. So let's go back now. Isn't that cool? I think that's freaking cool. Let's consider Parkinson's, though. And Russ can probably speak to this, but I'll just speak from what I see out there around the world and with my clients here. We know that a morning can be tough for a lot of people, and I'm one of them. Although I'm getting a little better, as long as I just start moving, I tend to do sort of okay. And if Andrew Huberman says he has trouble waking up, then I don't feel so guilty. Mm-hmm. He's like the authority on all this stuff. But a person with Parkinson's has a whole different set of circumstances they're dealing with. Let's just talk about the lack of dopamine that's produced by the substantia nigra and circulating or being activated around the brain. Well, if you have less of that and you're in a more of an off state, meaning your movement is compromised and your fall risk goes up, well, you got to know your body you got to know what to do. One of the things that I would say is while morning exercise is good for humans in general, if you want to use it in the perspective of a better learning experience, being mentally more aware, yeah, morning exercise. But if you're dealing with a movement disorder, you gotta know yourself, know your body, and know your limitations. We want you to challenge yourself when you're exercising, but we don't want you to hurt yourself. You got to get outside of the box, do some things that are uncomfortable, but with a reasonable safety factor built in so that you avoid falling and injury. All right. So, with that said, we know that when somebody takes Cinemet, levodopa, carbidopa, some type of dopamine replacement, it takes a little time for that to turn on. I don't know. It could be 20 minutes, half hour, depends upon the person. But know that aspect too of how that replacement medication affects you. Once you're on, that's the time to go. So now it's also going to be dependent upon what time of day are you taking the medications. If you get up at 7, and if you're not really on until 8, 9, 10, well, then you're going to need to be. Julia's here. Hey, Julia, how you doing? She's in New Jersey, and a big fan of a lot of the same music I'm a fan of. Mutual friend of Jimmy Haslip. So, bottom line is that I want to turn this over to Russ in just a second, but we want to be on. In other words, dopamine replacement medications have kicked in, moving better. Now, some people have no on and off period. My client Jerry still, he has no distinctive difference at all between an on and off period. And after 10 years of Parkinson's, he just started Cinemet a year ago. He doesn't notice the difference. But there are people who have a very distinctive difference, a very much on versus very off, depending upon how it affects them. So I can only tell you from experience that most people who I work with who have Parkinson's would prefer not to get together before noon. 11 a.m. might be early. So, hey, maybe that's the morning exercise for them, though. The bottom line is, with all that said, just consider it all for yourselves, whether you have Parkinson's or not, whether you're living with that or not, or any other kind of thing. Just know this: no matter when you exercise, do it at a time that you will do it. Because I know if I get up, I tried this 21 days in a row years ago, like 15 years ago, got up at 5 o'clock every morning. I went out, I lifted weights at the gym, I would go running. Every day was better than the next. Did you catch that? In other words, every day got worse and worse. And at the end of 21 days, I thought I was going to die. Literally. It was horrible. Me, yeah, hit me up about 2 o'clock. I'm ready to rock and roll. And that's the best time for me to exercise. And that's when I will exercise. Anytime 2 to 6. Sometimes a little earlier, especially if it's bicycle riding. Now, that's something I can do pretty much anytime and get excited about it. Anything else, forget about it. Nah. So it's if you just forget everything I said for 1 second, the most important thing is that you do exercise when it's best for you, when you feel it's best for you, and do stuff you like to do. Because if you don't do stuff you like to do, you're not going to exercise, and then all that. So, Russ, what are your feelings on all this stuff, especially on timing of exercise for people with Parkinson's?
Well, again, it's a personal preference and what works for you. After trying, different times, you might find that one thing, impacts you or helps you better. I like going about. I would prefer to get the workout actually out of the way earlier, but I tend to, I tend to enjoy kind of relaxing in the morning. I kind of like not like sitting down for a nice breakfast and just looking out. One of my favorite places to sit is in the kitchen. We have a picture window in the back, looking out at our landscape yard and stuff. And so that's a personal preference. I've done both, but recently with Parkinson's, I tend to just not get to it until like noon or 1, ideally. Sometimes I go later. I will say that later is like much later in the afternoon is not good for me because then um, I it doesn't give me as much time for the rest of the day to recover, and I don't sleep as well. I might be a couple of things might happen when I'm sleeping. I might be wired a little bit from doing the workout later,
Mhm.
and also I might be a little stiffer and sore from the workout. If I do the workout earlier, like between 10 and anywhere between 10 in the morning and 1 or whatever, it gives me a little time to move around a little bit more the rest of the day and stretch and everything. And I feel like I sleep a little bit more comfortably. I'd like to try to get, I'm going to try to get the workout in even earlier in the morning. I just like getting it out of the way and then I have the rest of the day.
Mhm.
Because if I start doing other things, then sometimes
Yeah,
you
I
you,
know.
you start getting into other things, and then you just don't get around to the workout, or you cut the workout short. You decide to do a short workout because you were doing all those other things. So that's why I like getting it out of the
Yeah.
way in the morning. So I didn't, like you explained the science behind it, why it's good and everything. I haven't really researched it to that point. So I kind of just, for myself, I've done it at all different times and I kind of, you know, just fit it into my schedule. It might vary from day
Yeah.
to day too. Because
Yeah,
I have a lot,
same here.
again, it's a personal thing because I have like a lot of interests. I do a lot of things. I'm involved, I'm always doing researching. I'm communicating with people on the internet. I have other leisure activities. There's gardening, dancing, and
Mhm.
socializing, or whatever. Watching, well, I was gonna say watching a movie, but that's usually at night or whatever. But so there's like so many
No,
things that if there's a lot of things that go into your day, sometimes could even change from day to day, whether you do the morning or.
totally. Yeah, I like variety too, of exercise.
I mean, I didn't give a good, answer as far as what I think is
No,
better. Depends on the
no,
person.
you did. You did. You said it's a personal decision, and it is. And I think, I didn't think of this before, although not today, I have before, but when you said experiment, maybe try different times a day and see how you feel. I can tell you there are times that I've been asked to do something, maybe, my daughter or my son wants to do something, and it's like 9:30 in the morning. And I smile, and inside my brain, I'm saying, oh, this is bothering my mind because I don't want to do anything at 9:30 in the morning that involves physical effort. However, there are times when I've worked out in the morning, not early though, no way. If I do 5 or 6 o'clock, it actually ruins my day, but that's just me. And I'm totally serious. I feel terrible the rest of the day. I try not to, but I just can't help it. 9:30. There are times, even though I don't feel ready mentally and physically, it lights me up and gets me going for the day. And I'm surprised. I have tried earlier many, many, many times. I used to have clients early too. And my earliest client now is 8 a.m. and that's a stretch. 9 is usually the start time for me these days. You don't want me working with you at 5:30 in the morning because you won't get a good trainer. I promise that. But um, the most important thing is to make sure you do some type of movement. The 2 words I'm changing my signature and email to 2 different sets of 2 words. Keep moving. It really comes down to that too. Movement equals longevity most of the time. And keep thinking. Use your brain. Do things that are challenging.
Hmm.
You got to be using the brain. Keep learning things. Listen to audiobooks, listen to podcasts, read stuff, do puzzles. I've just found these the other day. There's this one. Oh, I got this one. I got these in Mexico. These things where like there's like one
Yeah,
way. Well, I
puzzles.
love these things. I have another one too up there that I I've done the thing like 20 times. I cannot get it together this time, but I'm going to get it together. I just, where does it go? It's good for the brain. So we're going to wrap up here in a couple of minutes. Appreciate this. This was fun today. Oh, so Maria, and if Jane, my dear friend, and Laura, if you're there, maybe you could comment and let Jane know. I will send her a message. We'll get her hooked up with a book, because Laura is my distributor for books south of the United States. And I'll message her as well. Russ, man, thank you. This was a ball.
Yeah, I'm enjoying this. I hope people are getting something out of it. We'll cover, continue to cover corrective exercise. We didn't do any additional things today. We worked on showed you how to last time. I had to work on the calf a little bit, releasing muscles, but we'll cover the other aspects, stretching and how to activate certain muscles, and then talk about how it applies to different dysfunctions and things like that. We'll get those things in, but I enjoy this format. We kind of just say what's on our mind and things.
Yeah.
Share different techniques or thoughts, and
Well, remember,
hopefully people
folks,
are
if you
getting
have a topic
good
you would
information.
like us to cover, email or just inbox Russ or myself, or comment in the Neuro Bros Show Facebook group, which I think we just hit 100 members today, actually, or 101.
Or if you
That
just want to, just want to add, if you just want to make a comment too, just about
too.
anything that's going on with yourself, to give us an idea of what what our audience is like as we go along here. Hopefully, we'll have
Yeah.
some regulars
Yeah, that
who,
would help us to be able to help you better. And especially if you're, well, not especially, but also if you're a trainer, a physiotherapist, occupational therapist, whatever, a person, a group fitness, rock steady coaches. We've had a lot of coaches in the past at workshops around the country. Oh, thanks, Kathy. She says she loves these Zoom meetings. Thank you very much,
thank
Kathy.
you.
I do too. And yet, so remember I said when I got up today, I felt pretty sad. I don't feel sad anymore. Thank you, everybody, especially Russ. It's just, sometimes you just need to interact. You need to move, whatever. There's another thing too I want to say. I seldom feel like exercising, no matter what time of day it is, unless it's bicycle riding. That I'll do. I love it. Anything else? I'd rather not, until I start doing it. And if I have to shame myself into this, here's how I do it. I'll do self-shaming. I know this sounds negative, but it's actually a positive, because on the days that I really think, okay, I'm just going to put things off and I'm not going to do anything till tomorrow because I'll feel like it tomorrow probably. No, that's not true. I look at it like this. I can move. I can walk. I have no excuse. I have my health. I'm very lucky. In fact, being grateful is another thing I've recently discovered, especially with a new granddaughter and realizing how beautiful life is. So now I'm like talking like I'm really feeling good, because I am feeling good, but I have to be reminded, sometimes through conversation, sometimes through talking out loud. I walk around here talking to myself half the time. Nobody's here listening, but I have to psych myself out. But the self-shaming comes into this. Yes, Julia, gratitude. I have all these things, yet I have worked with people who cannot walk, who cannot talk. Oh God,
See
who
that
have
picture?
lost, yeah, who have lost limbs, who are paraplegics,
Getting a reflection of
quadriplegics.
it. Yeah.
I see that. I have no excuse not to get started, get my butt off the couch and get out there and do anything, even if it's 10 sit to stands off the couch or 20 sit to stands, anything. I don't have a reason. And those people I've worked with, unfortunately, two of them have passed away. They had MSA. They were fighters right till the very end, literally the very end. And they would give anything to be able to stand up, take a step, move, and for both of them at the very end to be able to talk, because they couldn't talk. I can talk. I'd probably talk too much. So shame on me. I can. And if I don't, shame on me. That's how I do it. Now, it could be negatives. I've been criticized on this too, but hey, do what works for you, man. Sometimes that's what I need to do for me. And then I get my ass in gear and I get moving. And then I always feel better after I have done some movement. And that's all I have to say for today.
Yeah.
Well, I
Sounds
could say a lot more, but
good stuff. No, you share a
Save
lot
it.
of great stuff. And
we'll save it.
yeah, like you said, if you just get going, sometimes if you have a workout you wanted to do, and if you just say to yourself, oh, if I could just do, let me just do 5 minutes. And then once you get past 5 minutes, you say, oh, I feel warmed up now. I could do 10, I could do 20, and then eventually you'll feel better and just keep going.
Yeah. I stole something from James Allen, this gentleman who wrote a beautiful book decades ago, As a Man Thinketh. He says, do the thing. The thing is interchangeable. Some of you heard me say this already, so I apologize for repeating myself. But if you haven't heard it, I think it's relevant. Do the thing and you'll get the energy to do the thing. Get moving, you get the energy to keep moving usually. Start doing your taxes. Well, I started mine, right? I'm on a roll now, man. I'm probably going to be done this weekend, get them filed, because it's real easy this year because I had no international income last year or anything like that. So no travel, super easy. But if I start whatever the thing is, then I usually get the energy to keep the thing going. And so, yeah. So Russ, it's funny. I'm sorry, gang. We haven't really talked ahead on our schedules. We've been doing this on Mondays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. I'm good for next week if you are, Russ. And you don't have to answer now, but I will post in the group when the next episodes will be. Thank you, Laura, for your help. Thank you, Jane, for your help. It's good to see everybody here. Maria, I'll message you. Julia, always good to see you. I hope you're feeling well. And so, how you good for Monday at 10?
It's the first.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Monday at 10, episode 7, folks. Kathy Lowry, I don't want to leave you out. I'm sorry. Thank you for joining us here on Zoom. Appreciate it very much. So
I think I'm okay for Thursday too. I have a 1 o'clock appointment, so it's probably enough time.
all right. All right. So episode 7, 10 a.m. Monday, March 1st, 10 a.m. Eastern time, folks. Hey, brother Russ. Round of applause for Russ, please.
And for Karl.
Thank you, sir. All right, everybody. This will be posted on the playlist on YouTube later, which I'll post in the group later when it's all done. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Russ.
All right. Take
We'll
care,
figure out
everyone. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, you and me, Russ, we'll figure out a plan for Monday.
All righty.
And then I'll post about it. Thanks, everyone. Have a fantastic day. And stay moving. Keep moving.
That's right. Keep smiling, too.
Stay positive and test negative. See you later.
See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.